Next up, a new report about Robert Mueller's special Russia investigation costing taxpayers big time, nearly $7 million in only its first 4.5 months. Peter Strzok, he's the FBI agent fired from the Russia probe. He was taken off the investigation after sending anti-Trump text messages to an FBI colleague. Peter Strzok also oversaw General Michael Flynn's interviews at the FBI back in January. He sat in on the questioning of Hillary Clinton. He questioned Hillary Clinton aides Uma Abedin and Cheryl Mills about Clinton's private email server used for government work. And he's a guy who's thought to have softened James Comey's statement exonerating Clinton's use of the private email server, watering it down from grossly negligent to extremely careless. Let's bring in former FBI Assistant Director Jim Kallstrom. Jim, we love having you on the show. Is this the smoking gun of anti-Trump bias in the Russia probe?
Well, I guess it could be, Liz, but, from my standpoint, having spent a good part of my life in that agency and proud of it and proud of the agents that work there even today, it's not the agents that are screwing all this up. It's the people at the higher levels of the agency which are acting in a disgraceful manner, including this agent. I mean, you never do what he did, ever. If I was in charge of the agency, he wouldn't be working there anymore. And I just wonder how deep that goes, that feeling and that cabal and those sycophants that were around Comey, how much of this went on. I mean, one can only wonder.
Mr. Kallstrom, you make such a good point. The FBI agents put their lives on the line to defend and protect Americans. And you're talking about political appointees involved in politics. Now, Sarah Carter of Circa News claims there are more anti-Trump messages sent by Mueller's team floating around. Judicial Watch, the watchdog group, says new Justice Department records, Jim, show strong support by Mueller Deputy Andrew Weissman on the Justice Department. Sally Yates, remember she refused to enforce President Trump's travel pause? There were a lot of top officials at the FBI cheering that. Is more politics and bias going to come out here?
These people are just outrageous. I'm so surprised at Bob Mueller. I knew him very well. I don't agree with a lot of things he did in the FBI. I think he weakened the FBI terribly by taking all references to radical Islam out of the training documents. But I always thought he was an honorable guy. And, some of the antics that have been going on, it sickened my stomach to see how they dealt with Paul Manafort. Here's a guy who's, at best, at worst, I guess, some sort of has a white collar problem. And to show up at his house at dawn with with a bunch of weapons, and I don't know if it was a SWAT team, whatever it was. And, if you can believe the reports, his wife was in bed, his children are there. I mean, it's just an absolute outrage. That's the kind of stuff that goes on in third world countries. And here, whoever was in charge of that for the FBI, the hell with what Mueller had to say. They would have never, ever done that, with some bureau people that I know. That was just an outrageous thing to do.
Well, let's get to what's going on with these top Clinton aides, Cheryl Mills, Uma Abedin, Jake Sullivan, and Heather Samuelson. Jim, they all told the FBI they had no idea that Hillary Clinton was using a private server for government work until she left the State Department. That's when they said they found out about the server. But we have leaked emails proving they were fully aware, because they talked about that private email server Hillary Clinton was using going back to at least 2010. So why aren't they facing charges for making false statements to the FBI?
Well, that's a good question. That's preposterous, those claims. I mean, just what's in the public arena, that they were perjuring themselves, in my view. And here this this three-star general that spent his life protecting this country, apparently, says something to the FBI. Maybe he was confused, not even considering a crime. And look how they ruined this guy's life. I mean, it's despicable what these people are doing. And yes, I mean, we need to look at this thing. I don't know what the Justice Department is doing. They're asleep at the switch over there. I can only hope maybe they are investigating these things. And by rights, in a perfect world, we wouldn't know about that.
You're talking about General Michael Flynn there. Quickly, Jim, do you think there is political bias in the Mueller Russia probe and at the FBI?
I think we've seen that already. And I don't think it's throughout the Bureau. I think it's this group of sycophants that Comey surrounded himself with that, got too big for their britches. They thought they were all, king for the day, and Hillary was going to win, and they were going to be ambassador to some far-off place or something. I don't know what was going on there, but there's no question about it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and it's disgraceful.
Jim Kallstrom, we love having you on. We look forward to you coming back on, and thank you so much for your service to our country, sir.